Okay, sweet.
Oh.
Tanner, you're up, my man.
All right, question number 1. Why should people buy a house from you rather than your brother Colin?
Colin's a great realtor too, and I learned a lot from him. So in saying that, you could, you'd have the best of both worlds using both of us. But Colin, I'm in less of a hurry than Colin, I find. So I often, if I've looked after Colin's work, I go into people's homes. They're like, oh, my brother Colin. If you've ever met him, he vibrates. He's like, I'll sit and have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
I'm also a woman. So I think there's a big difference between woman and man, because a woman is more, I care about your life. I want to hear what you have to, I want to learn about you, and how was your day, whereas, Colin's strictly, he's business. He's great at it. It's, but I guess that's why, but.
Yeah. You have the woman's touch.
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Question number 2 for you. What is your favorite place to shop in Fort McMurray that doesn't exist anymore?
Oh. Actually, I would have to say Bob Barrett's men's apparel, because, if I'm looking for a gift for my brothers and stuff, that was always a great go-to for me. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's not here anymore, but I always loved going in there. Nice men's clothing. Even though it wasn't for myself, I enjoyed that store.
There you go.
Question number 3. Spending your summers up here, what is your fondest waterways memory?
You know what? It's definitely doing a float. Yeah, a float is amazing. Like, it's, if you've ever done it, I mean, it can be super quick or it can be long. And you know what? I always tried to do it on my birthday. My birthday is in July 14th, so it's usually nice weather. But man, that's so great. And you float by people and stuff. But it's if you haven't tried that, it's definitely worth a try here.
Question number 4 for you. What is it like being part of a family that's synonymous with Fort McMurray?
It's fun. It's I look back, and so many people, I go to people's houses and they talk about me and my dad. They're like, oh, I knew your dad. Your dad used to be on city council. Your dad was this, and so we've kind of evolved through the years, but we've carried still a legacy, and I think that's awesome. And is that we're good, honest, ethical business people in town, and that we really care about the community and support the community. So I think it's neat.
The last question for you today: how is raising kids in Fort McMurray now, or when you did, different from being a kid in Fort McMurray?
Oh, there wasn't a lot of changes, because my girls were born in '98. So to be honest, my options to take my kids anywhere in Fort McMurray at that time, because infrastructure just wasn't as good as it is now, because there's so many options. There was just the YMCA. Mac Island hadn't even been expanded and built. But one of our favorite places to go was a community-built park down in Grayling Terrace. I used to take them down there all the time. They had a little spray park there, and that was built directly from the people in that community. And we used to love that park. So that's where I spent most of my summers with my daughters.
That park is still there.
Yeah, it's great.
Those have been your 5 questions.
Very cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
I think the big thing in regards to the flood insurance, where some people got burned last year, was the sewage backup. Like, they're covered for certain parts, but if your sewage backed up because of the flood, potentially you weren't covered for that. It's definitely, when you're talking about insurance, it's all in the details.
It's all in the wordings.
Yeah.
So, it's very important to read the wordings, and nobody wants to. I mean, Usually what happens is you're going to get your big, thick binder in the mail, and you're going to be like, okay, these are my limits, and you put it in the file in the drawer somewhere, and that's
right.
it. But the one thing I always say is, you only know how good your insurance company is when you have a claim.
That's right.
So I've talked to many business owners in town who are still in a temporary location, who are still fighting with their companies, and they're just really, they just almost feel like they're defeated. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't have a license to talk about claims. I can only do my part as the person providing the coverage.
Right.
But I'm the mediator, so I work with you and the adjuster and claims people to get things moving and help the client out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
let's go way back in time. I know it's been a while, but still, that's part of your history. So let's talk about the service that you've done.
I was a teenager, first year university, wanted a part-time job. Friends of mine were reservists. So I said, you know what? I'm going to join the Army.
Yeah.
Hoorah. They said, do you like camping? I said, I love camping.
Yeah.
It was nothing like camping, by the way. I remember my first time sitting in a trench, pouring rain. It was May, rain / slush / freezing your butt off.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with a baked potato in one hand and a piece of meat in the other because I had forgot my plate. And so we're lined up to get our food, and I just took it in my greasy hands, gloves, soaking wet, and I'm sitting there going, this isn't like camping.
No.
This is not like camping at all.
Yeah.
So went through basic training in Newfoundland as a reservist, and traveled to New Brunswick to do some leadership training and stuff like that. I end up applying for the regular forces under their regular officer training plan, and I was a master corporal then. And so then I took my commission and became a commissioned officer and did the leadership training in Gagetown, New Brunswick as an infantry officer.
Yeah.
To be posted to the Royal Canadian Regiment, Pro Patria. And I ended up getting injured, realizing, okay, this is not where I want to take my career. So in 2004, I decided to get out and pursue a career elsewhere. And now here I am.
There you go. So you tough. Now with the Sony cameras that you're using, and we don't use Sony, we use Nikon.
Okay.
And the reason
people
we
make
use,
mistakes.
Yeah, the reason we use Nikon, and Tanner gave me grief about this. We got all Sonys to film this, and so we had 3 Sonys, and they all crapped out.
Oh no.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, some people do make mistakes.
Yeah. Then we bought like a 4th one as a backup. Even the 4th one crapped out.
Oh man.
So then like we're in a tailspin. What to do? They all like we did a bunch of practice shows. We were ready to go, and then Sunday, the day before the show, we come to do one more practice show, and bing, 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 done, finished.
Well, hopefully Sony watches this and they're like, hey.
Well, listen,
we can fix that for you.
Sony does watch because we had a guest on, and she loves Sony, and they reached out to her, and we're just like, hey, thanks for shouting us out. So now we're trying to get Nikon to give us a shout out because we're rocking all Nikons. They work perfectly. We love the picture quality, and I love the fact that they turn on and work every day. And Tanner rocks Nikon for his side hustle as well as a photographer. So
my opinion is they don't need to reach out to us because their products speak for themselves.
Oh my gosh.
I want them to reach out because
okay. Sorry, Sony.
We need
Sony,
new stuff.
I still love you. Don't worry what they say. You guys are great. You've never let me down.
So, but myself and Tanner, we're born and raised here.
Yeah.
You're not.
No.
Let's hear your story. What brought you? Where are you from? What brought you to Fort McMurray? What keeps you in Fort McMurray?
Okay. So I grew up in Toronto, specifically in Brampton, because Toronto people are like, if you're from Brampton, you're from Brampton. But
Yeah.
I grew up in Brampton. I have a fitness background, so I used to work at the YMCA. I worked with kids sports programming and worked with at-risk kids in Toronto in communities, creating programs for them. I was a child youth worker before coming out to Fort McMurray. I actually worked in Toronto's youth jail facility and helped at-risk kids in the community get back into the community through sports programming and healthy ways of building programming to get them interjected back into the community. So
Okay.
yeah.
So that's what you're doing there.
I said this. That's another Mac City Morning Show done.
It's so ballistic!
Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.